Never on schedule, but always on time. Welcome back to the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Today we are going to be covering the happenings of a very eventful Week 4 in the NFL. And I've got a good bit of company with me. Down below, Mr. John Olson, Mr. Idris Salam, and I am in between Mr. Josh Olson, a.k.a. The Voice, and my man Mike Zappi out in San Antonio, Texas. How we doing, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Jay?
Great to be here.
Real good.
Good to see you guys, man. Football's taking shape. You know, we're now in October. It's a month in, and it looks like a couple of teams are starting to prove that they're going to really stick around, and other teams are trying to prove that they're not flukish. We're going to start in the NFC East. And you got to give credit where it's due. A lot of adversity early on. Philadelphia Eagles found themselves down 14-0 early. I expected the Jaguars to give them a good game because I know Doug Peterson, being the only coach that's ever won a Super Bowl for that organization in Philly, I knew that he was going to have his guys ready for the challenge. Jaguars they're heading in the right direction. But a couple of poor decisions on Trevor Lawrence's part and just certain things that just kind of stagnated the offense ultimately led to the Eagles being able to pick themselves up and ultimately win the game. Zappy, what are your thoughts on this Eagles start? At this point in the season, I guess we have to kind of say these guys are a legitimate Super Bowl contender at this point.
I think it's one of those. I don't know if people are labeling them a Super Bowl contender quite yet. I know before the season started, I said they would be a 12-5, 13-4 team as a top 2 seed in the NFC, and that's starting to take shape. I thought yesterday they were going to lose that game, and quite honestly, I don't think the Eagles won that game. I think the Jaguars lost it because they had that game, up 14-0, and it wasn't like the Eagles just started playing well. It was all Trevor Lawrence, 4 fumbles and then an interception. They literally handed that game away and lost by 8 points. And nothing against the Jags. They're still a young team. As far as the Eagles, you could see a lot of holes in their offense and even in their defense where if they're not careful, they're going to get caught. And, they did what they needed to do. They got over 400 yards of total offense, 200 of them being on the ground, which is what they're going to do week in and week out, keep the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands. But, they have a nice matchup this week going to Arizona, which is a trap game, in my opinion, as they prepare for Dallas next week. So, but as far as Philly goes, it's pretty clear as day. They're 4-0. They're the best team in the NFC because their record says so right now. And it's really hard to make an argument for other teams like the Packers, the Vikings, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Rams, whoever, when everyone else also has question marks. So time will tell with Philly, but as of right now, they're playing their schedule and winning their games.
Josh, your thoughts on Philly's pretty impressive start?
I love it. I agree with Zappy. They're the best team in the NFC, maybe the best team in the NFL. Kansas City might be ahead of them, I guess, but it's hard to even look into the AFC and see, something that right now, after 4 weeks, is looking better. But, their offense, I love it because any guy can go off. You see they have Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, and both of them have had monster games. Miles Sanders, maybe some people thought, thought he was, I wouldn't say washed. He's still young, but not going to do what he was doing this year. So, and the defense, phenomenal too. 5 turnovers yesterday. I don't know if the Jags had more than that, but 5 from Trevor. So, yeah, they're definitely not someone people want to meet in January.
Idris, your thoughts on the team we hate most? What are your thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, they're what people expected right now at this point in the season. Me, I'm the pessimist, skeptic. I think they're going to get caught because the defense either plays good early or plays bad early. And with Detroit, previous games, they jumped out there and the defense gave in, and this time the offense didn't get started. Hurts did what he had to do. I think he got about 300 yards. Sanders got 100 plus on the ground. Trevor Lawrence killed the game, and it seemed like when they went up 14-0, they just that was it. That was it, and they let Philly back in the game. And one thing coming out of college with Trevor Lawrence, and I got a lot of heat for it. I said, he turns the ball over. He turns the ball over, and it showed yesterday. They got to him, and he did fumble. So you got to hold on to the ball, man. And playing a team like the Eagles with that defense, you can't give them nothing because they get the ball, the offense is going down the field. And that's what happened. I don't think Philly won the game. Like I said, I think the Jaguars lost it. You had these guys, you let it go. In the words of
John, I'm sorry, Idris. You continue. I'm sorry.
Was it Denny Green? We had them and you let them off the hook. All who we thought they were. Had to throw that in there.
Thus far, I guess you could. Yeah, good analogy. John, your thoughts on the Eagles? You think they're all the way for real, or do you think they're kind of paper tigers right now?
Pardon? I think the Eagles are for real. I wish I would have picked a few more of them. I usually have Miles Sanders every year, but I didn't get him in any of my leagues. And this is probably the first game he ran for 100 yards in like over a season. But they are splitting up the carries between Scott and Gainwell, and Hurts is going to run the ball a lot too. So now you gave Hurts that A.J. Brown as a weapon. They're going to be good. They're going to be right up. They might have the number 1 seed in the NFC.
You all make good points. To Josh's point, Sanders is still the lead guy in that backfield. Previous years, injured often. Zappy off the air and in previous shows on the air has made points about how since the Eagles made the transition to being a run-first team, they have kind of been able to mask some of Jalen Hurts' weaknesses. And to be fair, and I've said this on previous shows, Hurts is much improved. To Idris and Zappy's point, I believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars did indeed let them off the hook. Last year, Trevor Lawrence was tied for the interception lead with Super Bowl winner Matthew Stafford. But the difference is Stafford plays on a team where you can occasionally afford to throw 1 or 2 more picks or make the untimely turnover and get bailed out. Jacksonville is a work in progress. They are going to be a good team this year. And in that division, I do think that they have an actual chance to win that division because I think 8 and 9 can win you the South this year. It's a very mediocre division in the AFC, maybe 9 and 8. John, you think that they have a legitimate shot to be the 1 seed? I still think that will be revealed. It's definitely a great start. But, your Packers are only a game behind them in the standings. The Dallas Cowboys are only a game behind them in the standings. My guys, it's early. And I don't know if me or Idris are going to have to try out this week, but we don't have a quarterback right now to play. But, a win's a win in the NFL, and there's no such thing as an ugly win. The Giants had to get creative yesterday. The Packers outlasted their opponents. It's a week-to-week league, and you're only as good as what you did last week. But thus far, every reason to believe in the Eagles, as much as it pains me to say that. I hate that organization, but, they have built a winner and have done it rather quickly.
Yep.
They're the most complete team in the NFC and probably the NFL.
Still hate them.
I still want to see what happens when they play top-tier competition. I mean, they've beaten the Jaguars, they've beaten the Lions, they've beaten the Commanders, and off the top of my head, I'm not remembering who their other win was.
Vikings.
I'm gonna hold off before I totally jump the wagon. The Saints almost beat the Vikings yesterday with Andy Dalton.
Right.
But that's the one thing about this team that we have to remember is
we're talking about the Giants now. I don't want to hear no more about the Eagles. I'm not.
We hate the Eagles, man.
I know I hate the Eagles too, but I'm a realist.
It's Giants time.
I'm a realist too. And you know what it really is? The 4th day of October.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Is it the
Yeah,
4th?
let's see what happens. They had a good September / first week of October. No quarterback, no problem. The New York Football Giants yesterday with the throwback helmets, with the 80s look all over MetLife Stadium.
Yes, sir, Tom.
It was a throwback situation.
Loved it.
They won it in very much throwback fashion.
It's nasty
Proud
day.
of them yesterday for what they accomplished.
Yeah.
They lost Daniel Jones, ankle injury.
Take a little break.
All right, buddy. They lost Tyrod Taylor.
Concussion.
Concussion. 8 minutes left in the game. Saquon Barkley takes
Getting ready to
Huge
leave
leadership
that
role.
refrigerator.
and essentially tells the coaching staff that he's going to take over the duties of taking the snaps. It wasn't pretty, but I think that yesterday the team really leaned on each other, and I think it was an inspirational win against a pretty physical Bears team in very crappy weather yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
The weather was very, very crappy. I'm going to go to my Giant fan first, and then we're going to run it around. Idris, your thoughts on yesterday's victory?
I was impressed. I got into arguing with a lot of Giants fans this morning on Twitter. They were talking how Daniel Jones, 8 of 11 or something like that. That's what I said. Well, look, the man ran for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
No turnovers.
Yeah.
He basically missed the whole quarter. We won.
Mm-hmm.
Saquon came to play. He came to play like he used to play. He became a leader on that team.
Yesterday was a huge thing for Saquon becoming a true leader, because I don't think he sees that in the Eli era, the limited time that they were together.
Right.
Yesterday, he took a huge step into that leadership role, basically calming down his teammates and saying, guys, we got this. We could run the Wildcat.
Mm-hmm.
I could hand the ball off to my partners, and I could also call my own number. And a lot of maturity he showed yesterday, and I'm very proud of him.
Right. And I had to really get in these guys and say, look, you guys forget what type of team we have. We're playing with a lot of young guys. And we're still, like Dave said, no one has a permanent position on this team, especially wide receiver.
No.
Galladay, we lost Sterling Shepard. Slayton came in. James, Muff fumble. I mean, we really don't have a receiving core. Not a solid one.
No, not by any means. Not yet.
But you know what? With what we had, we won. And they talk about how we didn't throw a lot of yards. I said, Dave said from the start, we're going to use the offense we need to win. And we knew Chicago couldn't stop the run. We ran the ball for over 250 yards. That's what we came to do, and that's what we did. So I'm happy with the win. We got a long way to go, obviously. But it was good to see Robinson back on the field yesterday after having an appendectomy a week or so ago. Thibodeau, Ojolari. It was good to see all them guys on the field. And I'm satisfied with what we did for what we had. We got a long way to go, but 3-1, like Parsons said, you are what your record says you are.
I'm going to say one last thing before I pass this over.
Mm-hmm.
My concern with the Giants right now is the thinning out of that secondary. Julian Love injured yesterday. I don't think it's going to be anything that keeps him out of England, but still, something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Robinson did play yesterday. I think it was more of him with a pain tolerance thing, because he kind of got hit more or less in that area where the appendectomy was. I don't think this is something to overly worry about. I'd like to see Evan Neal get back on the field. He was playing really well before, as they said, a neck injury. Given all the heat with the Tua situation, I don't think they dressed Tyrod Taylor this week. I think they're going to elevate Davis Webb from the practice squad.
Which was great.
And if I'm the Giants, and if Daniel Jones can't run, I would strongly consider dressing Jones, but setting him up to be the backup this week against Green Bay. Because if you take away Jones's legs, you're taking away a huge part of his game. And I say let Davis Webb get the start. Brian Dable has worked wonders with a lot less than what most rosters have. And I think it's because, the Giants' formula is play stingy defense, stick around, get in the fourth quarter, and keep it to one score. And it's worked 3 of 4 weeks, you know, and it's a tough league. And the Giants obviously have a roster to still fill with, you know, the cap space that's going to be granted to them. God willing, they can move on from Kenny Golladay, maybe give him a $4 to $7 million payout, anywhere in between there. Next year, the cap number goes up. But, you know, 3-1, but a very imperfect team. And we're going to get tested. We got 2 great quarterbacks that we're going to run into. Future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers, potential Hall of Famer Lamar Jackson. It's going to be 2 very tough weeks against 2 very good teams. Zappy, you're up. What are your thoughts on the Giants' victory and their immediate future?
I think you guys are about to face the other side of things with this upcoming schedule. Not to mention 71 passing yards by Daniel Jones. Most high school quarterbacks have better games than that week in and week out. 71 yards passing, and then only 11 by Tyrod Taylor. That doesn't say anything for me. They have no weapons right now in the receiving corps. All right, Kenny Galladay's got 2 catches on the year. Good job. You know, Saquon, if it wasn't for Saquon and facing that horrific Bears rush defense, you guys probably find a way to lose that game.
You're buzzing, Zappy.
It's not me.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
he's Richie.
Yeah, it's definitely not me.
okay.
I'm gonna mute Idris momentarily. Idris, I believe it was you, buddy. Idris, it's you, bud. I'm gonna kick you out, bring you back in, all right?
Do you want me to
about
wait
that,
for Idris or
everyone.
continue?
No, continue. Idris is good. He'll be back.
All right. So, anyways, yeah, I just think right now the Giants have benefited from playing a very favorable schedule early on, and that's what's led to their 3-1 record. Before the show, we said, you know, NFC East has the best record in football, but we also have the easiest schedule in football. So, look at it however you want to look at it. We're supposed to win these games, so that way we're not the division that continues to be laughed at. And then I look at the Giants. They pulled off a game against Justin Fields. I've been against him since day one. I've never been a fan of his, whether it was while he was at Ohio State or since he's been drafted by the Bears. I just don't think he's an NFL caliber quarterback. As far as the Giants go, I really think there's some dark days ahead of you with the bye week coming right when you guys need it. Because I unfortunately, I see you guys losing to the Packers this week, the Ravens next week, the Jaguars the week after. And going to Seattle, I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle beats you guys because it's there. And I know you guys have had recent history. I'm talking about this season alone. So it's just one of those. I think the Giants are about to see the other side of things and start seeing what it's like to lose more often and play especially when you're playing tougher teams.
Josh, your thoughts on the G-Men and if their wave of success is sustainable?
Well, I agree with Zappy. I think they're going to go on a little skid here. Because, it's unfortunate. You know, Kadarius Toney apparently just isn't going to work out. Galladay not going to work out. And then, Sterling Shepard, it seems like he's got a little something left in the tank, and then he's gone. And, now no one to throw the ball against the Packers. It's going to be rough, but you guys said so much about it. I just want to say, Saquon, like you said, Richie, Saquon pulled the team together yesterday, and I know he earned his first captain's patch, I think, this season, and he really showed that he deserved it. So proud of him.
Proud of him, man. It's
great
a
thing,
year.
great takeaway from the game.
It's a contract year for him, and similar to what my baseball team is doing and how it's a prove-it year for Aaron Judge, and he's more than proven it. I feel like in the Giants' case, it's the same story with Saquon. And ultimately, my hope is that 2 of my favorite athletes both stay where they belong. And, time will reveal that. That's the crappy part of sports. Sometimes the business end overtakes, what
And
the fans
there's
want.
always a team that's ready to jump and put big money into a running back, and it's usually not the team who drafted them, So, but yeah, I love what he did yesterday, So, hell yeah.
It was cool. Just bear with me, guys. I'm bringing Idris right back with us. We're gonna move it over to the guy with Mike Zappy of the New England Patriots. Man, he really hung with Aaron Rodgers yesterday. Packers came out a little flat, did enough to win. I think Rodgers' greatness was shown later in the game. Romeo Doubs should have had that score. Football move in the end zone. I'm not a fan of the rule, but it is a rule nonetheless. There's no more moves to make. If you're in the end zone, that's the end. There are no more football moves.
Your destination, what's the move,
Right,
there you are.
Right. That is very much.
I don't want to hear
down,
about he caught it.
Very much how I feel.
I don't want to hear any Packer fan talking about he caught it. That's all. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah,
Someone's salty
gotcha.
about Des Bryant. Very popular pick in fantasy for our man Brett Bandick.
Brett.
Yeah, buddy. He did pick him.
Yeah.
He did.
Well, you know how he is.
Zappy, what are your thoughts on the Patriots quarterback yesterday? Do you think that there is a potential quarterback controversy brewing if the Patriots string a little bit of a streak together here?
Well, if everyone goes back and watches the AFC East preview when it was myself, you, and Brett, I said Bailey Zappi, if given the opportunity, will give Mac Jones a running, and if he can, he will take over that starting position because I believe in Bailey Zappi. Not because we share the same last name, but because
okay.
I thought because my name is Mike Zappi and I'm just Bailey's. I thought that's what he said. I didn't realize he made that assessment. I mean, if he says it, I believe him.
Yeah, no, I said, and it's because you watch. When you're someone like myself who watches a lot of football, a lot of college football, not just your team. I mean, I've seen Bailey Zappi play live. The guy understands the quarterback position. He knows how to play it. He's going to make mistakes. He's a gunslinger, but he's also, but those mistakes are going to be shadowed out by all the good things he will do for his team. I'm not going to put him in the Hall of Fame, as Bill Parcells once said, but
yeah.
Does he have he's got a higher ceiling than that of Mac Jones. I will say that. So
yeah,
an unfortunate ankle injury to Mac Jones has now put Bailey Zappi in this position because we already saw Brian Hoyer get hurt. But from what I saw from him yesterday, he looked good. He didn't look like a rookie quarterback, a 5th round pick coming into his first NFL game. He looked like a guy that's been doing this for a little while already, which tells me that there's a lot of potential with this kid. Not to mention when you have Damian Harrison and Stevenson and that defense, they can kind of hide a lot of the things the way the Eagles do with Jalen Hurts. So, I don't think the Patriots are going to go on a winning streak and all of a sudden take over the division. But I think Bailey Zappi is going to make things very interesting for that team moving forward, especially when Mac Jones comes back. Because remember, neither of them is technically the franchise quarterback. They're both on rookie deals. So if Bailey Zappi outplays them, the Patriots don't lose money on this. So it's nothing big there. It's the same thing with Kirk Cousins and RG3. It's the same kind of situation. And as far as the Packers go, I mean, I thought they were going to win that game pretty handily. I was not expecting a close game, that type of game at all. And for me, it's starting to show. What I said was it's going to come down to that receiving core for Green Bay, and it's starting to show that at times, And they're AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, they're going to get their touches. Teams are going to continue to game plan to stop them and force Aaron to throw the ball, but his receivers need to catch it. And that's the big one right now. His receivers need to catch it. The defense is going to continue to play great, but I still think the Packers are the 2nd seed in the NFC North. But time will tell.
I'm gonna cut that just 1 second. Green Bay's defense didn't play up to their potential yesterday. They gave up too many third down conversions. They made some untimely penalties. They are a better unit than they played like. And unfortunately, I think my New York Giants are going to run into a pissed off team because the Packers are wise enough to know that they got outplayed, but they won the game. I expect a better Packer team in England. And like I said, Dobbs should have been a touchdown. I understand the rule. But why is there a football move in the end zone? There's no more football field. That's just my opinion. John, kind of a mixed bag question. Your thoughts on Bailey Zappi? Is he a challenge to Mac Jones and your Packers? Have at it.
Well, I think Belichick's man is Jones. Zappi is going to have to play, out of his mind here, and play better than what he was. He was 10 for 15, 90 yards, but he did a pretty good job. And Green Bay's defense is not what I've heard it's supposed to be cracked up to be. Like you said, we gave up too many third downs. We're giving up too many third downs the previous week against Tampa Bay. And from my view, it's like a fumble or a bad play on Green Bay's part seems to take them 2 or 3 or 4 drives to recover from it. The week before, we were up 14-3 on Tampa Bay. Jones fumbles on the 2-yard line. If he holds on, we're either going to get a touchdown or a field goal and go up by 17-3. But it seems like after one fumble, it takes Rodgers 4 or 5 drives to get a first down again. I don't quite understand what's going on there. I do think that our Dobbs is going to be Devontae Adams too by next season. You guys saw the back shoulder catch. That looked a lot like Devontae doing that. But he did have the fumble early on in, I think, Green Bay's second series. He caught a short pass and he fumbled, and right from there, we started playing poorly for several drives.
Uncharacteristic pick six from Rodgers. Usually makes much better decisions. Anyone can get picked in the NFL, but definitely a throw that I don't think Rodgers makes 8 out of 10 times.
Only
he did it yesterday.
Only the second time he's been picked in Lambeau and taken back for a touchdown.
I was not aware of that stat.
Yeah. Only a second one taken back for a TD. So, but I do think your Giants bubble is going to burst this coming Sunday, Richie. Sorry to say.
I just like I said, I saw what Daniel Jones looked like without the ability to run when the Giants rushed him back in 2020. I would prefer to go with someone who had a really good preseason in Davis Webb and just let the chips fall where they may. Too early in the year to take a risk when if you set him back in a game like that, you could add 2-3 weeks on the injury. We've seen it happen to Chris Godwin in Tampa. We've seen it happen with Tua Tagovailoa. That's just criminal what happened in Miami. I think the Giants are a little more responsible than that, so we'll see how that plays. Josh, your thoughts on your Packers right now coming off that win against the New England Patriots, going to England to meet my guys?
Oh, well, I'm glad that it's the Giants we're playing next because I don't know, that was a tough game.
Hold up.
I just think it's a good bounce back spot there.
Don't let us win this game, but
man, you don't let us win this game because I'm coming on this show like
it was a little passive this week. I'm gonna get a little crazy to win this game. It's a big game for us.
Man, oh man.
But yeah, that's the game yesterday. It wasn't really fun to watch as a Packer fan, and honestly, I was kind of so disgusted by the game. I didn't watch that barn burner of a Sunday night game, unfortunately. But for that Zappi to hang like he did, hey, good job. and I agree with our Zappy that he could push Mac Jones. I never saw fireworks with Mac Jones, when I've watched him play. So I think that could be open to him, and hopefully the young guy, seizes the opportunity. But yeah, for the Packers, I expected a somewhat dominant performance yesterday. So, even though we got the win, it was like, kind of like you're expecting prime rib, you get a burger, still happy, it's still beef. But, that definitely, I think, there's just some soft spots on the Packers, and hopefully they stiffen up over the next few weeks.
Before I let Idris wrap up this, and then we're going to hit on the Cowboys right after that, Mom is chiming in here. Why is everyone, and she capitalized so sure, the Giants won't win in England? I actually think that
Thank you, Missy.
the neutral field favors the Giants. Because
There's a lot of Packers fans over there.
A lot of Packers fans
too. It's a lot of
No,
Giants fans.
I lived in Europe. I'm telling you right now, that stadium's going to have a lot of yellow and green. There's a lot of Packers fans over there.
Better believe
Giants are undefeated in Europe. I just wanted to make a mention of that. And the last 2 times the Giants were playoff bound. Well, 2 of the last 3 times the Giants were playoff bound. The point is they're undefeated in Europe. Idris, your thoughts on the Green Bay victory? And I guess you might as well time in the Giants because they are playing next week.
I definitely will. I think Rodgers always makes a way. Dobbs. I think next year Dobbs is going to really come into his own. This is a feeling out season for Green Bay because basically Rodgers is working with, I would just say rookies, even though they're not rookies, but you know what I mean. He doesn't have that comfort zone with Devontae Adams. Running game is good. Defense could have done better yesterday, but I think they did what they had to do. I think they're going to be okay. With Mac Jones, I don't know if we're going to touch on the AFC East or not. AFC East or not. But with Mac Jones, I'll say, like I said about Alabama quarterbacks, what makes them look good are the players they have around them. I never was sold on Mac Jones, just like I'm still not sold on Tua. I'm not going to say the name I use for him. Just like I'm not sold on Tua. Jason Hurts, they basically put everything around him so he doesn't have to take control of the game. And for Zappy, just remember, Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft choice.
Yeah, man. Zach made mention of that a minute ago here on our show, saying that it's Drew Bledsoe all over again. I'm not getting too over.
No. Oh no.
About what happened yesterday, just yet like that. But
right. I'm just saying, Jones better watch out because, like you said, he's still on a rookie deal.
And to close this one out with Alabama, you know what else makes Alabama quarterbacks look good? Fur coats. Joe Namath used to wear one. We're going to move it along to the Cowboys defense. Definitely elite. I got to give them that. And Cooper Rush is gaining. I finally got it right. I didn't say Cooper Kupp. Cooper Rush is gaining confidence. I'm going to let Zappy start here because he's very excited about his Cowboys right now.
I'm not.
Look at him. He's smiling. I'm not. Yeah, okay, bud. Okay.
No, look. Dallas, obviously,
with the Cowboys
we lost.
Right now.
There's a couple things we need to get straight about Dallas. First of all, Cooper Rush has done more than a better job, more than what was expected of him. Going into Cincinnati, we were supposed to lose that game. We won that one. We were supposed to beat the Giants and Washington with whoever was at quarterback. That's just the way it is because Dallas is the better team. They're about to get their test now. They have to go to LA this week, and it's looking like it's going to be with Dak because the last I heard today was Dak is aiming to play this Sunday, or it's going to be with Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush more than likely.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Time will tell. Dak is squeezing the ball now, so if he's squeezing it and he can get some rip on it, then he'll play because it's not a life-threatening injury. It's not a concussion. It's not an ACL. It's just a thumb.
Right.
So Dallas, they're going to run the ball. Washington, if you really break down that game yesterday, Washington outplayed Dallas offensively. They outgained Dallas. They controlled the ball longer than Dallas. It was Washington's mental miscues that forced them to kind of lose the game. They had over 120 yards and penalties, so it was a lot of this and that. And then not to mention Carson Wentz doing what Carson Wentz does. He happened to find Trayvon Diggs. It was at the end of the first half that he took a deep shot down the field, but Trayvon intercepted it. And then again, late in the fourth quarter, Deron Bland came through with an interception. Their O-line did a pretty good job of slowing down our rush. We only got 2 sacks this time. But I mean, that defensive front for Washington that I've been a fan of, they showed up and they stopped our running game. They slowed down Zeke. They slowed down Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard had no value to the game whatsoever yesterday. Actually, it was the passing game which surprised me. It was CeeDee Lamb. Ever since that drop against the Giants, he has not stopped. He's been getting open. He's been catching everything thrown his way. It was nice to see Michael Gallup return because his presence actually made a huge impact on the game yesterday. He did have the touchdown pass, but then he also had 2 pass interferences on Willie Jackson that were very important to the game. So for Dallas, they've got to face Aaron Donald this week. I want to see them leave Jason Peters in there at left guard. We need the experience going up against that front. Can Dallas win? Absolutely, they can win. With that defense and the Rams, quite frankly, they haven't really been wowed this year, which is what not a lot of people, but some people thought they were going to be. Richie, you being one of them.
I'm going to play devil's advocate briefly, and all I'm going to say is this. The New York Giants, an offense led by Daniel Jones and, an offensive line, trying to get it right. And the Washington Commanders led by Carson Wentz. You're getting Cooper Kupp this week. You're getting a better offense this week. Exactly. I understand that what Dallas has done is impressive, and I'm not going to take nothing away from what they've done. But I will say this. With Dak, the thumb, he can squeeze a football. That's cool. I don't know if he gives you a better chance to win this week. And I also don't know if I'd be in a big rush to throw him right back out there playing a physical team like the Rams. I'm not 100% sure I would do that if I was Dallas.
I see why. The reason why they're doing it is because we have a date next Sunday night with the Philadelphia Eagles, and they need to, if Dak is ready this week, they need to get the rust out of him this week so he's ready for next week. Because it's okay. It's one thing to lose an out-of-division game. It's another thing to lose a division game. And let's face it, that game next Sunday is a lot more important in Dallas's eyes because in order to win the division, you have to win your division first. And Dallas has been doing that for a few years now.
I understand that, but you lose your quarterback. That's a big investment. And is that worth rushing a week? I don't know.
No, I don't think it's worth rushing a week, but believe me when I tell you, it's not up to me. It's up to Jerry Jones and the way he sees it. If he's paying you, you play. If you're ready, if you're good to go. Dak's getting $40 million a year. He's not getting $40 million a year to be our cheerleader, to be riding the bench and watching Cooper Rush do this. He's getting $40 million a year to lead that franchise. And if he shows any type of possibility of playing, he's going to play. And they not saying they need him, but people need to also understand Cooper Rush is not. There's not a quarterback controversy. Dak is the quarterback. Rush has done his job. His paycheck's getting bigger for next offseason for whatever backup role he takes on. But as far as Dallas goes, I mean, this very well be that after week 6, Dallas is sitting there at 3-3. And then they have 2 very winnable games after that going into the bye. So, but right now, going into LA, facing that defense, facing that offense, Dallas might get themselves a nice wake-up call the same way the Giants are going to get one this week as well. And then who knows, the Eagles might get one too going to Arizona. I mean, it's an NFC West team. We've already said the NFC West is one of the better divisions in football. So it might be a rough weekend for the NFC East altogether.
I will say this. If the Giants compete with the Packers, keep it close, get beat, especially if they don't have quarterback 1 or quarterback 2, I don't know if it's a wake-up call. If anything, I think it's a confidence builder. That remains to be seen. I already said the Packers are going to be pissed. Does anyone want to piggyback off of what Zappy said, or do you think he's pretty much covered it? I was waiting for him to start talking about the Lombardi trophies, maybe giving us a tour of AT&T as well. He's very detailed with profound love for the 1 star.
Yeah.
Not much more to add to Zappy's review.
I agree, because if he did. We might have to do 2 shows. I liked it though. I mean, he was pretty detailed. I get it. He's excited. I'd be excited too. I'm excited about my Giants, and we don't even have a quarterback right now, and I'm excited. So I get it.
You know,
I do get it.
and let me add on to what he said. I grew up you and Zappy. But with me, I would sit Dak. I know he's paying Dak 40. He's a starter, but I would sit Dak because Philly's coming up, and Rush is doing good, and let him stay in there. Because you never know, Rush might go in there and who knows? You know, who knows what he might do.
I'm a firm believer that you don't rest the hot hand, whether it's baseball, whatever sport you're doing. And I'm not saying that he's going to take Dak's job. I don't think that. But right now they're winning. And, their only loss was with Dak at the helm. I'm not going to be an ignorant person and blame it on Dak. That's not fair.
But he did play a bad game, though.
They're winless with Dak, and they're undefeated with Rush. I mean,
he played a bad game that one game, too.
What's that?
Dak played a bad game that game, too. He didn't look good.
He did. He did not look good. I mean, then once again, not all his fault. There were a lot of variables that led to that. But, yeah.
But the Giants will beat Green Bay next week.
I'm not going to.
We'll see.
We'll see how it plays.
The Giants will beat Green Bay next week.
Buffalo Bills surprised me yesterday. They overcame a huge They overcame a huge deficit. Mutant John, he's moving those potatoes over there. Let's divert this. John Olsen moving potatoes. Does he still have the love? 50 years in the game, moving potatoes.
It's pretty clear he does.
I don't know.
Potatoes
if he got off that quote quick. He was like, "What?
Cheese and potatoes, man. I mean,
cheese and potatoes.
Looks like a baked potato with cheese on it."
Let me get John over here.
Oh man,
I think he's off his
what a
call.
show.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be like, damn, what a bad show. I don't know. Bills overcome first half deficit to the Ravens. I did not like the decision at the end of the game. Idris or Josh, whoever wants to start this up, but guys, that was awful. You do not take points off the board.
No,
that late in the game.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I couldn't believe it.
No.
Yeah, you don't do it. I can understand if they're like on the fingernail of the end zone and, ramming it with Lamar or your fullback or whoever have you. But you do not take points off the board. And what message are you sending your defense? You held it one of the most prolific offenses in the NFL to 20. And
I guess
what message are you sending? So now you don't convert, and now you put your defense in an even worse situation. Very unfair.
You gotta wonder if that's why Marcus Peters was going off there at the end. Lack of trust. Before the turnover, because he was going ballistic.
It's a good way to lose a locker room, and you saw what happened to Doug Peterson, essentially laying down when an Eagles team really wanted to give it to Washington, which ultimately would have given the Giants the division title a couple of seasons ago. It wasn't so much that the Eagles wanted to help the Giants. It's more so that the Eagles wanted to screw a division rival that they were actually playing. These guys still have pride. So it was a very, very poor situation there.
John Harbaugh, what is this, 12 years as an NFL head coach? And he's somewhere in there. He's over 10, I thought. But my goodness, it's like something you'd think like a Matt Patricia team or something,
right. Yeah.
Not him.
Maybe Jerry Glanville or somebody, not
Rod Ross.
That dude. Yeah, not that dude. You know what I mean? Or maybe Ron Rivera, because Ron Rivera does like to take some, which I call uncalculated risk. I like Ron though.
It tells me, like you guys said, he didn't trust his defense. They couldn't stop Josh Allen in the second half of that game. He's saying that he knew if they would have gone for the field goal, that he fully believed Josh Allen would have taken the Buffalo Bills down the field and they would have won that game 27-23. But because he went for it on fourth down, Josh Allen only needed a field goal. They couldn't stop him. And first of all, they should have never been in that position to begin with. They were winning 20-3. They should have never been in that position to have to go for it on fourth down or be kicking a field goal to take a lead with just over a minute left and have your defense try to stop Josh Allen. Fact is, they couldn't stop him in the second half.
It was stupidity, though. You're missing both slot receivers for Buffalo now. McKenzie got hurt. Crowder was already hurt. I understand.
Crowder's out for a while, too.
But what happens if the ball gets batted on the line? It only takes one play. You get penetration. You get in there. You don't take points off the board that late. Don't do it. I'm sorry. You better be the 07 Pats or somebody, or you better have a prolific offense that you're going to score. You can't do that shit.
This Baltimore team, man, it reminds me of the 2015 Giants. We lost so many games on the final drive because our defense couldn't hold. And these guys lost against Miami, which they should have won. They had Miami beat. Same with Buffalo. They had Buffalo beat. And I always said it goes back to Wink Martindale. When I said when Wink left Baltimore, I said that defense is going to struggle this year. They're not going to know which way to go, left or right. And it's showing they've blown some of the biggest leads.
Yeah, it's hard to. They should be 4-0 instead. They're 5.
They should be 4-0.
Yeah, they should be.
And
they should be 4-0.
And that right there is gonna factor in Lamar Jackson's contract talks.
A lot of things.
Like, I'm because he's carrying his team, man.
And they're looking for reasons to not validate Lamar, which I think is a little crazy. I'm not saying that I'm his biggest fan, but one thing I know is that he's their best option.
It's their best option.
Yeah, it's a little crazy, and I do think he's being disrespected.
It's a lot of teams' best option, And that's kind of scary for the Ravens. Few teams.
Yeah, if he walks, he'll get the money. Somebody got to throw the money.
Oh no, somebody will definitely pay him. Somebody will definitely pay him.
He's
but
not going to
ultimately, I think that this could get complex, where you even have a franchise tag that ultimately could turn into a trade if the relationship gets bad with him and the organization. We're going to talk about two other quarterbacks here. A Super Bowl rematch of just 2 years ago in the same stadium. Kansas City Chiefs definitely responded after losing to an inferior Colts team. I think Patrick Mahomes, similar to what Aaron Rodgers has done for a very long time, is learning how to play with pretty much anybody they give him. And he's doing a damn good job right now. And I think the Chiefs are clicking. I really like what they've done for the better part of the first month of the year. This is another team that potentially could be 2-2. Instead, they're 3-1. I feel that they could have and should have lost the Charger game, but they didn't. But every win post Tyreek Hill is giving that locker room confidence. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs right now, and also the Bucs? Bucs look like they're missing a lot more than just players. They look like they're missing their swagger.
Chiefs. I said for the. Okay, go ahead, Zach. Go ahead. Or whoever was giving the talk.
That was me starting to talk.
Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes was pretty unreal in that game last night. And like you said, Richie, I don't know how the Colts beat them the week before. But, I think Tyreek Hill will probably rue his decision to snub the Chiefs' money to go to Miami, because they're looking like, between Buffalo and Kansas City, they're looking the best in the AFC. And he's adjusting to new receivers and probably throwing more to the backs also, just like Aaron Rodgers is. But the Chiefs looked really great last night.
Yeah, you can't say enough about it. And I understand a rough week for the Bucs, having to be displaced, the whole hurricane, but it was deeper than that. The Bucs lost a couple of veteran players that they felt they could replace, and I'm talking about JPP and Ndamukong Suh. Mm-hmm. And while you can get comparable talent, you don't always get comparable leadership or comparable passion that they bring to that locker room. And I do think that the Bucs underestimated what those two guys mean. And I'll be honest, I do believe that the stuff going on in Tom Brady's personal life is actually affecting him on the football field. It's deeper than that. Mm-hmm. They have their share of issues. from an X's and O's standpoint. But, I mean, we've all been watching Tom Brady play football for a really long time. And this is the most pedestrian I've seen Brady look, or most vulnerable maybe is the better verbiage, probably since 2019, his final year in New England.
Hey, Richie, when you say vulnerable, I mean when he busted his knee brace against the Packers and he's kind of got up slow, I mean, to me, he looked like a goddamn old man out there. Like, I can't quite look at him the same after he got up slow. It looked like he was 70 years old. And, and yeah, maybe personal things, taking Wednesdays off, whatever that is, that can't be good for chemistry, But yeah, Patrick Mahomes too. He evolves, like the greatest athletes, they evolve. They start great and they keep evolving.
And it doesn't matter what era of football we're talking about. But when you start making exceptions for somebody in the locker room, Brady has always prided himself on saying, I'm just one of the guys. But, dude, when you're unavailable on Wednesday and you're missing in action because of this, you're not just one of the guys. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a team sport, no matter how many rings you got on your fingers.
Right.
And I remember Brady being almost passive-aggressive to Belichick, saying, like, well, every guy's got to prove himself every day. And it's like, well, you're not living that now,
No.
So
going to a super team definitely extended his career. We're coming up. We got about 9.5 minutes left. Zap, what are your thoughts on the Bucs? Do you think that this is just the misfortune of having a heavy September/early October, or do you think that this team is really off of where they need to be?
Well, first of all, I think what set the game up last night was the start of the game. The turnover immediately, setting the Chiefs up for a quick score. That right there was a huge turning point, because if you don't fumble that ball, and if Tom Brady gets the ball first, momentum stays on their side and they're going down that field and scoring. That right there is what got the game going in the Chiefs' direction.
That was a hell of a way to start a game. I'd give you that.
You never think about it. I mean, look at the way Peyton Manning started the game and the Super Bowl against Seattle.
It was hard.
That was it. It was over.
Those types of things can carry over for the rest of the game, especially when it's a big game like last night's was. As far as Brady and the Bucs go, I'm not sounding the alarm quite yet. Not yet, at least. Even given everything that happened, they still put up 31 points last night.
They did. I just don't see him as the same kind of quality, because I do feel that they were playing the losing man's game in a fake shootout, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Well,
pretty much.
The big thing is, remember, this is why I think it's a huge one in regards to the start of the game. Can anyone tell me how many yards Leonard Fournette had rushing last night?
Probably 15.
I'm gonna
He
say
didn't have any.
40.
he had a donut. I was not aware of that. I thought he had at least like 16 or something.
I thought he had about 20.
He had 3 carries for -3 yards.
I should know this, being that he's on a couple of my fantasy teams, but I kind of checked out of fantasy football going into the night game because I lost 3 of my 4 leagues this year. Not the best week for me in the fantasy world.
Thank you,
And
Richie.
I'm the victim to Mr. Olsen. I lost to him in one of them.
No, and a lot of it stemmed from the fact that they fell behind early and they were out of their game plan already. And that's huge. So Brady, he did pass for 385 yards, a few touchdowns, and this and that. They do have questions. Their defense is still good, but I think this has more to say about Patrick Mahomes and the quarterback he is. Look at the play he rolled out, where he spun out of a tackle and just lobs the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It goes to prove Mahomes is proving everyone wrong. A lot of people thought that by losing Tyreek Hill, that he was going to see some sort of decline.
Missing the playoffs.
Yeah,
not me.
Missing the playoffs. I didn't
Remember what I
said. I didn't
said.
have him missing the playoffs, but I definitely wasn't thinking this kind of start. And
I had
really,
winning
you
the
say
division.
2-2. They can
you
can easily be 4-0 right now. No, I think the Bucs. The Bucks also benefit from playing in the NFC South. Let's face
Yeah.
it, boy. They're tied with the Falcons for first place. If you ask me to put all my life savings on which team, I mean, it's going to go on the Bucks, no question about it.
Right.
I think the Bucks are going to be just fine. Obviously, the things that we said were going to hurt them, like the interior of their offensive line, is hurting them. Chris Godwin's been out. You know, he played week 1 and he's missed a couple weeks and he's back. The chemistry is not quite there. This is the same team that was 7-5 the year they won the Super Bowl and they went on a winning streak. It's early in the year. They're going to be just fine. The Chiefs, they got Patrick Mahomes. That's all you need to know. If that team goes as Patrick Mahomes goes, and if he's having a stellar game, they're going to win. Most times, 9 times out of 10. That's just how it is with Mahomes. Andy Reid, he won the lottery. The Bears will forever live with that mistake of taking Mitchell Trubisky instead of Mahomes. But even in college, while he was at Texas Tech, he just knew how to get the ball, spread the ball around, and he's still proving it today. So yeah, no, I think the Chiefs are going to be good. The Bucks are going to be just fine. Their chemistry will come. They're getting players back from injury. I don't think it's sound the alarm quite yet for the Bucks. And as far as Tom Brady taking Wednesdays off, yeah, I don't like that because, like you said, Richie, it is a team sport. But I mean, the dude is collecting Social Security now. Maybe he needs that Wednesday off.
I get it. Last thing I want to say about the Bucks, I just see them as number one, not hungry. They don't look like a team that's hungry. And quite frankly, I feel that they've kind of just taken immovable parts and valuing everybody the same. Like, okay, AB went crazy. We'll replace him with Julio. We didn't even mention the loss of Rob Gronkowski, but anybody that thinks that that's not a major thing, yeah, he might be one of the most prolific tight ends, pass catching and scoring touchdowns, but something that gets overlooked in his game and most tight ends games that play it all the way around is his ability to be a great blocker.
You know what?
Leonard Fournette is looking
Gronk?
like he has some miles on him too.
Gronk knew where Brady wanted him to be
Absolutely.
all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've seen a quarterback and tight end have that kind of chemistry because obviously they'd have to play together that long to have that chemistry. Shorter sample size, you could throw Romo and Witten in there on a shorter sample
Phillips
size.
And Phillip Rivers
and Antonio Gates for sure. And now you got Mahomes and Kelsey.
How about
It's
Favre
few and far
Kamara?
between. Yeah, I mean, but you know, few and far between for sure. I mean, Favre for a short while, he had a great thing going with Mark Chamorro. You know, you see it over the years.
I love Chewy.
Yeah, Chewy was a hell of a player, but you never see it. You never see it on for that long. Tony Gonzalez had 100 different quarterbacks. He was just that damn good.
Yeah.
Got 2 minutes. The international games. Are you guys kind of over this? I know John and I were pretty pissed off when the schedule came out because going into this season, we were expecting to be making a road trip to Lambeau this coming week. This was supposed to be a short vacation for us. What are your thoughts on this? Are you guys kind of over the international series, or do you like it?
Yeah, I'm over it.
They're not going away. They're not going
away.
away.
That's for sure. It's globalization of the sport. That's never going to go away.
Yeah.
No, the NFL.
But why the Packers and Giants of all teams? Why those two?
Yeah.
Green Bay's never been there. Green Bay has not been there. This is the first time Green Bay's going to London.
I think what they should do with the international game is who thought the Giants is going to do anything this year? If you're going to put Green Bay in like KC or something like that, a real marquee game, and I'm not down on my Giants, but come on, man.
Well, they want to keep those.
But we're going to win,
keep those games for the networks over here. Sunday night or Thursday night.
You're never going to get a big game international and take it away from the fans. It's just not going to happen.
They don't.
Change
they
the format.
That's a solid point. It was a big game to us for different reasons, but yes, I understand that.
It's about European money. I mean, it'll never end because they're getting a ton of money from Europe because of
20
it. You know,
seconds, fellas. Anything you want to say on the way out? Sorry to interrupt you, Jeff.
We're going to
20
win.
seconds.
Giants by 3.
I will give my prediction later in the week. Zappy.
Now
You're
it's just,
catching loss number
everyone.
2. That much I'll say. I'm not going to speak on the Giants just yet. Later, guys.